Hi there, good evening. Welcome along to the Transfer Show. Michael Bridge and James Savundra, I hope will retain your interest. They're here to talk us through all the day's transfer news.
Tottenham agree £85 million, $116 million. Deal for Manchester City's Savinho. Tottenham Hotspur have finally struck an agreement with Manchester City to sign Brazilian winger Savinho in a deal worth up to £85 million, bringing to a close a transfer saga that has stretched across more than 12 months of speculation, rejected approaches and shifting valuations. According to reporting from ESPN, Sky Sports, The Athletic and multiple other outlets on Friday, Spurs will pay an initial fee of £75 million, with a further £10 million available through performance-related add-ons. Roughly £5 million of those bonuses are considered close to guaranteed, meaning City are ultimately expected to bank in the region of £80 million or more once the structure of the deal plays out over the coming seasons. Savinho is set to undergo a medical examination in North London before formally putting pen to paper on a long-term contract with the club. The origins of this deal trace back to the previous transfer window, when Tottenham first lodged serious interest in the 22-year-old winger, but were unable to find common ground with Manchester City on price. At that stage, City were understood to be holding out for a fee in excess of £50 million, and sources close to the negotiations described the champions as reluctant to sanction any departure at all, given the player's importance to Pep Guardiola's rotation options on the flanks. Guardiola, however, has historically taken the view that he does not stand in the way of players who make clear their desire to pursue a new challenge, and it appears that dynamic played out again this summer once Savinho communicated his openness to the move. Earlier in his City career, in fact, the winger had gone the other direction entirely, signing a new 6-year contract with the club in a bid to end the Tottenham speculation for good. A deal that at the time appeared to settle his long-term future at the Etihad. That contract ultimately did not prevent this summer's transfer once City's stance shifted amid a broader restructuring of the first-team squad. Savinho originally arrived at Manchester City in 2024 from French League One side Troyes in a transfer worth around €40 million, following a breakout loan spell in Spain with Girona, where he posted highly productive numbers in La Liga. Since making that move to Manchester, the Brazilian has made 53 appearances for City in all competitions, registering 2 goals and 12 assists, though he has at various points found it difficult to command a guaranteed starting berth in a City forward line that has featured established stars such as Erling Haaland, Phil Foden and other high-profile wide options. His most recent City statistics from the 2025-26 campaign showed a single goal and assist across 24 Premier League appearances, a modest return that likely factored into the club's growing willingness to cash in on the player this summer, rather than continuing to fight off suitors indefinitely. For Tottenham, the signing represents the continuation of an extraordinarily aggressive summer spending spree under new head coach Roberto De Zerbi, who succeeded the club's previous management following a disappointing campaign that saw Spurs finish 17th in the Premier League table for a second consecutive season while scoring only 48 league goals, comfortably one of the lowest totals among the division's more established clubs. Sky Sports reports that Tottenham have already committed more than £200 million this summer across 6 separate first-team signings, including deals for players such as Sandro Tonali, Mateus Fernandes and Jan-Paul van Hecke, and the addition of Savinho is expected to push that outlay well beyond the £300 million mark once the transfer is finalised. De Zerbi has been explicit in wanting to add as many as 3 new attacking players before the summer window closes on September 1st, and Savinho is understood to represent the first half of a planned double swoop that also includes advanced discussions over a separate deal for City forward Omar Marmoush, an Egypt international who struggled to establish himself as a first-choice option at the Etihad following his move from Eintracht Frankfurt. The broader context of this transfer cannot be separated from the wider transformation currently underway at Manchester City. This summer has already seen the club sanction the high-profile departures of both Rodri, who completed a move to Barcelona, and Tijani Reinders, who left for Saudi Arabian side Al Qadsiya, as Pep Guardiola and new head coach Enzo Maresca worked to reshape a squad that endured a difficult 2025-26 campaign by the club's own exceptionally high standards. The funds generated by merchandise sales such as Savinho's are widely expected to be reinvested into City's pursuit of reinforcements elsewhere on the pitch, most notably in central midfield, where the club has been locked in advanced negotiations with French side Lille over teenage sensation Ayoub Bouaddi. Whether Savinho's departure ultimately proves to be addition by subtraction for City's attacking balance, or a rare misstep in allowing a talented young winger to leave for a Premier League rival, will likely only become clear once the new Premier League season, which kicks off with City hosting Bournemouth, begins to take shape. For Tottenham fans, however, the deal is being received as vindication of a summer-long pursuit and a statement of serious intent from a club determined to close the gap on England's traditional top four. Lille confirm Manchester City in negotiations over Ayoub Bouaddi. Lille head coach Davide Ancelotti has publicly confirmed that Manchester City are engaged in active negotiations to sign the club's prized 18-year-old midfielder Ayoub Bouaddi, delivering the acknowledgement in a post-match press conference following Lille's final pre-season fixture against Everton. While confirming that talks are indeed taking place, Ancelotti made his personal hope clear that the transfer would ultimately collapse, praising Bouaddi in glowing terms as an exceptionally mature player who carries himself with the composure of someone twice his age, and who he believes is destined to become one of the finest midfielders in European football over the coming decade. Despite that public plea to keep his prized asset, multiple credible transfer sources, including BBC Sport, ESPN and Sky Sports, all report that City have moved into pole position for the Morocco international's signature. Bouaddi's rapid rise through the ranks at Lille has been one of the more remarkable storylines in French football over the past 2 seasons. Making his League One debut as a teenager, he quickly established himself as a first-team regular known for his composure under pressure, his tactical intelligence, and his ability to carry the ball through midfield thirds under duress. His profile increased dramatically further still, following a series of eye-catching performances for Morocco at the 2026 FIFA World Cup in North America, including a standout display against Brazil in the group stage that drew widespread attention from scouts across Europe. That tournament exposure triggered a wave of interest from a host of clubs, with outlets reporting that both Manchester United and Arsenal had also registered varying degrees of interest in the player at different points, though City are understood to have moved fastest and most decisively in turning interest into concrete negotiations. According to reporting from ESPN and other outlets, City have already agreed personal terms with Bouaddi on a 5-year contract that would run through until 2031, addressing what is typically considered the more straightforward half of any transfer negotiation. The more complicated element has centered on establishing a fee acceptable to both clubs. Lille initially set their valuation at around €100 million, equivalent to roughly £85 to £87 million. A figure Ancelotti and Lille's hierarchy have consistently defended given the player's age, potential, and contract situation, which runs until 2029. City, for their part, are believed to be working to negotiate that figure down, with various reports suggesting a package in the region of €70 to €80 million could ultimately be enough to complete the deal, particularly if performance-related add-ons are used to bridge the gap between the two clubs' valuations. A further layer of complexity in the negotiations has revolved around the timing of any prospective move. Lille, sources indicate, would prefer to retain Bouaddi on loan for the 2026-27 campaign, arguing that an additional season of regular first-team football in League One would represent the ideal next step in his development before making the jump to the Premier League. Manchester City, by contrast, are reported to be pushing for the midfielder to join immediately, reflecting the urgency created by the club's need to address its midfield following a significant summer of departures. That urgency has been sharpened considerably by the confirmed exit of Rodri to Barcelona and the departure of Tijani Reinders to Saudi Arabia, both of which have left new head coach Enzo Maresca with a considerably thinner central midfield than the one he inherited at the start of the summer. Bouaddi has been specifically identified by the City hierarchy as a long-term successor to Rodri's deep-lying role, a comparison that speaks to the scale of expectation already being placed on the teenager's shoulders should the move go through. City's sporting director Hugo Viana has reportedly been in sustained and regular contact with Lille president Olivier Letang throughout the summer as the two clubs have worked to bridge the gap between their respective positions, with reports describing talks as having been stepped up significantly following the confirmation of Rodri's Barcelona exit, since that sale is understood to have helped fund City's pursuit of Bouaddi. Fabrizio Romano and other well-connected transfer journalists have reported that Bouaddi himself has already told those close to him that he wants the move to happen this summer, giving City a significant advantage in the race for his signature over any other interested parties who may lack that same personal alignment with the player. With the September 1st deadline for the summer transfer window fast approaching, both clubs are widely expected to intensify negotiations in the coming days in an effort to reach a final agreement on structure and staggered payments, even as Ancelotti continues to publicly voice his hope that his club's brightest young talent remains in French football for at least one more season. Rodri completes £65 million move to Barcelona. Manchester City's Spain international midfielder Rodri has completed a transfer to Barcelona in a deal reported to be worth an initial £65.4 million, drawing the curtain on a 7-year association with the Etihad Stadium that yielded an extraordinary haul of 14 major trophies. Barcelona confirmed the signing after the 30-year-old underwent a medical examination and put pen to paper on a 4-year contract that will keep him at Camp Nou until the summer of 2030. Various outlets, including ESPN and Al Jazeera, have reported that the overall package could rise further still through a series of performance-related add-ons tied to Rodri's future achievements in Catalan colours, potentially pushing the total value of the transfer beyond £70 million once those conditions are met over the life of the contract. The timing of the move is notable, given that Rodri arrives at Barcelona having just been named Player of the Tournament at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, where he captained Spain to the title in North America. That individual and collective triumph is widely understood to have played a significant role in cementing his desire to pursue a return to Spanish football, with sources telling ESPN that the midfielder turned down a competing approach from Real Madrid in order to push through his preferred switch to Barcelona instead. In doing so, he joins a Barcelona squad already stacked with several of his newly crowned World Cup winning international teammates, including Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Gavi, Dani Olmo, and Pau Kubasi, giving the Catalan club one of the most star-studded and internationally decorated midfield contingents in world football heading into the new season. Rodri's departure brings to a close a hugely significant chapter, both for the player personally and for Manchester City as a club. He first arrived at the Etihad Stadium in the summer of 2019, joining from Atletico Madrid for what was, at the time, a club record transfer fee, after City triggered his release clause following an extended pursuit that saw Pep Guardiola personally identify him as the long-term successor to the club's aging midfield stalwart. Over the 7 seasons that followed, Rodri made close to 300 appearances for City and evolved from a promising young holding midfielder into arguably the most indispensable player in Guardiola's entire system, a metronomic presence at the base of midfield whose importance to the team's rhythm and defensive structure became increasingly apparent, most famously during the injury-disrupted 2024-25 season when City's form dipped notably in his absence. His trophy collection during his time in Manchester included 4 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, and, most memorably, the Champions League in 2023, a triumph in which he scored the decisive winning goal against Inter Milan in the final. A moment widely regarded as the crowning achievement of his career at the club up to that point, and one that helped City complete a historic continental treble. In a farewell message posted to Manchester City's official website following confirmation of the transfer, Rodri reflected at length on his emotional attachment to the club, describing the difficulty of saying goodbye and expressing deep gratitude for the support shown to him and his family throughout his years in Manchester. He recalled the excitement of first arriving at the club and the sense of disbelief at training alongside some of the era's biggest names, while also acknowledging the scale of what he and his teammates had gone on to achieve together during his time at the Etihad. The sale leaves Manchester City with a significant and immediate need to strengthen their central midfield options heading into the new campaign under incoming head coach Enzo Maresca, who inherits a squad now missing both Rodri and fellow departing midfielder Tijani Reinders. City have moved quickly in response, with the funds generated by Rodri's sale widely reported to be earmarked for reinvestment in Lilla's highly rated teenage midfielder Ayoub Bouaddi, while the club is also said to retain a level of interest in Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez, though City reportedly missed an internally set deadline from Chelsea to advance formal talks over that particular target. Whether Bouaddi, at just 18 years old, can realistically be expected to replicate anything close to the influence Rodri exerted over Gvardiola's system for the better part of a decade, remains one of the more intriguing questions hanging over City's title prospects as the new Premier League season approaches. Josko Gvardiol signs 5-year contract extension until 2031. Manchester City have confirmed that Croatian international defender Josko Gvardiol has signed a new long-term contract, extending his stay at the Etihad Stadium through to the summer of 2031, with the club retaining an option to extend the agreement by a further 12 months beyond that point. The announcement brings to an end weeks of speculation surrounding the 24-year-old's future, during which reports had linked him with potential interest from both Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, two of European football's traditional heavyweights, amid growing recognition of his emergence as one of the finest young defenders in the world game. Notably, Gvardiol still had 2 full years remaining on his existing contract at the time of signing the extension, meaning City moved proactively to secure his long-term future rather than waiting until his deal edged closer to expiry, a decision that reflects the exceptionally high regard in which he is held within the club's hierarchy. Gvardiol first arrived at Manchester City in the summer of 2023, joining from German Bundesliga side RB Leipzig in a transfer reported to be worth around €90 million, or approximately £77 million in the currency of the time, a fee that made him the second most expensive defender in football history at the point of signing, behind only Harry Maguire's move to Manchester United in 2019. That price tag placed enormous expectation on the then 21-year-old's shoulders from the outset, yet he has comfortably justified the outlay in the years since, quickly establishing himself as a genuinely versatile defensive option capable of performing at an elite level both as a central defender and, perhaps even more impressively, as an attacking left-back within Pep Guardiola's positionally fluid system. That adaptability has made him an increasingly central figure in the club's tactical setup, with his composure on the ball, recovery pace, and willingness to push forward into advanced areas, all cited by teammates and coaching staff as qualities that set him apart from more conventional defenders. Since making the move from Leipzig, Gvardiol has made 122 appearances for Manchester City, contributing 13 goals from a defensive position, a notably productive return that reflects both his attacking instincts and his frequent involvement in City's build-up play. During that time, he has been part of squads that collected 6 major honours, including the Premier League title, the FA Cup, the League Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, and the Community Shield, an extensive trophy haul for a player who only turned 24 this year. His individual development was further recognised when he was named City's Player of the Year for the 2024-25 season, an accolade that underlined just how quickly he had progressed from a promising young defender learning a new league and a demanding new system to one of the squad's genuinely indispensable performers. Speaking after putting pen to paper on his new deal, Gvardiol described the decision to commit his long-term future to the club as an easy one, saying that as soon as he became aware City wanted to extend his contract, he knew immediately it was what he wanted. He characterised Manchester City as the best club in the world to play for, pointing to the quality of the squad around him and expressing confidence that the current group, which he described as young and full of potential, would go on to enjoy considerable success together in the years ahead. City's director of football, Hugo Viana, echoed those sentiments in the club's official statement confirming the signing. emphasizing the extent to which the hierarchy regards Gvardiol as a genuinely important long-term building block for the squad moving forward, positioning him alongside Phil Foden and Erling Haaland as one of the three players the club intends to build its next generational core around. The timing of Gvardiol's extension is significant given the broader context of upheaval within Manchester City's squad this summer. He becomes the second City defender to commit his long-term future to the club within the same week, following a similar extension for fellow defender Abdulkadir Kusanov, and joins Phil Foden among a small group of key players who have recently renewed their terms amid a summer that has otherwise been defined by high-profile departures, including the exits of Rodri to Barcelona and Tijani Reinders to Saudi Arabia. In that context, securing Gvardiol's signature on fresh terms represents an important marker of stability and continuity for a club undergoing significant transition, both in terms of playing personnel and, with the arrival of Enzo Maresca as head coach, in terms of tactical leadership as well. With City's defensive line facing scrutiny after a below-par campaign by their own standards, the retention of one of the position's brightest young performers on a deal running until 2031 offers Maresca a clear foundation stone around which to continue reshaping the squad heading into the new Premier League season.